Honey, I'm home. Where's my dinner? Gosh golly gee. Pleasantville, released in 1998. I'm just discovering, oh my god, this movie is that old. Wow! And this movie is directed by Gary Ross, who has also directed such films like Sea Biscuit, The Hunger Games, Free State of Jones, and Ocean's 8. And this movie is starring Tobey Maguire, Reese Witherspoon, Jeff Daniels, Joan Allen, William H. Macy, J.T. Walsh, and Don Knotts. And the reason why we're talking about Pleasantville today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from one of my longtime contributors and supporters of this channel, James Filbury, a strike again with this nice little bundle that you sent me recently. Thank you very much. If any of you want to be like James and help support me and contribute to this channel, you can hit the PayPal link that is on the homepage of my YouTube channel and send any type of donation that you want my way with your movie recommendation, and I will give you a shout out and review it for you here on the channel. James, you made me feel old because I thought this was like early 2000s, but no, this is 1998. This is a movie from the 90s. Good God! David and Jennifer live in the Technicolor world called Earth. And in this Technicolor world, everything is shitty and people do drugs and people are having sex with each other. It's just one ugly and dirty looking place. But one night when their TV remote is broken, a strange TV repairman shows up at their door and hands them a very unique remote control. And when David presses the button, both David and Jennifer are sucked into the black and white TV show called Pleasantville. Now David and Jennifer need to go about their days portraying these two characters of Bud and Mary Sue, find a way back home, while also helping everyone in Pleasantville broaden their horizons. I think that's the best way I can put that, with broadening their horizons, because if you've seen this movie and you know what happens, oh yes, their horizons are definitely broadened. Let's drive up to Lover's Lane, shall we, and explore things up there, and let's give each other a pin. I'm still in shock by just looking this up for this review that this was 1998. I remember watching this as a kid. I thought I was watching it as a teenager, but 1998, gosh, I would have been in elementary school still. Tobey Maguire was not Peter Parker yet. That's how old this movie was. But that's a testament to the film, because the cinematography, the CGI, the color saturation effects that they use still hold up today. It still looks fantastic. The story itself, though, I can tell it wants to be something. Like, it's really trying to be that Oscar baity type movie that has great dramatic elements, and we're talking about life and people growing in their lives and, again, broadening their horizons. But there's something about it, and maybe it's the aspect of it being a classic 1950s black and white TV show where everything kind of wraps itself up and everything is all goody-goody two-shoes. Maybe there's a part of that aspect that is preventing this movie from reaching that Oscar baity, great dramatic piece level. Because really the movie is an allegory showcasing the audience the change that culture and society had in this country after World War II in the 1950s, going all the way up to the 1960s, when people started revolting, and we had things like Woodstock, and we had the space race, and we were broadening our minds, and again, broadening our horizons. I keep saying that. Why do I keep saying that? Because it's absolutely true. That's why I keep saying that. Wow, I just had a whole conversation with myself. I'm fine. I'm not insane. Trust me. So it talks about very serious and important things that we should really make part of our lives. Like, we should not be segregating people. We should accept everyone for whatever color they are. And here it's really like spelled out there, like literally, oh, we had people of color and we have people in black and white. And now we need to separate it because the people in black and white, they're the true citizens of Pleasantville. And all of these coloreds, well, we want to just shun them over there, put them in a little camp or a little building over there so we don't have to think about them. They're into things like rock and roll and sex and drugs and drinking, and we're not part of that. We are living our nice little white picket fence life with our meatloaves and our bowling alleys and our women who don't work and just stay home all day and they're perfectly happy. All of these things are important, but again, there's just something about this, and I can't specifically put my finger on the pulse of why this film, for me at least, doesn't reach that level. I think it's because it's dealing a lot with, like, the civil rights movement, and dealing a lot with black people trying to have their voice heard and try to fight against all of these Jim Crow laws and all these bullshit segregated regulations in schools and in town halls and in town squares and bullshit like that. So it's dealing with aspects of that, but yet there's not a single black person in this movie. To me, it felt like this is white people's version of the civil rights movement and what they think it was, and they didn't actually live through it. And I know people out there are like, oh, everyone's too woke nowadays, everyone, takes this stuff way too seriously, but I think it's the definition of this movie. This film is just not woke enough, and it needs to be. You're talking about segregation between literally just all white people. It's just some people are in Technicolor, and some people are in black and white. Haha, see how that works? And yet the representation of black people in this country who actually went through that is not represented in this movie at all. I think that's the disconnect. That has to be what it is. That's what I can't get my mind around. This film should be woke, and it's not. But it should be. Now, those aspects aside, I do enjoy the performances that we get here. Tobey Maguire is a high schooler. Who he is not. He is not a high schooler, but we go along with it because he's delightful and he's charming. And when you put him in the 1950s, like slicked over, combed over hair and the white button up, and he's working out of the soda shop, yeah, he looks like he's a boy from the 1950s. Reese Witherspoon is doing her best impersonation of a Valley Girl. Like, she goes a little over the top in the real life world when she is with her girlfriends and then the boys come over and they're just like, hey, what's up? Hey, not much. It was a great conversation. I love listening to that. Joan Allen and Jeff Daniels, I love their developing relationship in here. Jeff Daniels, I think, he's one of those subtle actors that you don't really think about, but when you see him on screen, you just expect him to be solid. And he always is. And this is one of those roles where he is solid. He is constantly fighting, or he has these urges of change, and he wants a change, but because in this black and white Pleasantville, everything stays the same and everyone's all happy and we don't have any other type feelings, when he knows that there is feelings inside of him that he is feeling, but he represses them. He's one of the best characters and one of the best storylines in this movie, of him finding and rediscovering his love of painting and his love of color and just the world of beauty and how color can be beautiful in this world. And Joan Allen's character, similarly to Jeff Daniels' character, has a very similar path where she knows there is something else and she is feeling very repressed and wants to break out and do something different. The pieces are there. The performances are great. The actors are great. The cinematography, the visual effects, I think are great. Again, it's a flaw in the story, and maybe it was fine for the time, but here in 2023, with what we've gone through over the last 20 years, times have changed, and we're trying to have that inclusive piece, and this film is definitely not inclusive, even though it's talking about aspects that should welcome inclusion. Like, they're putting on the front of like, hey, we're being inclusive and we're talking about diversity, but then you look in the background and you're like, there is not a single piece of diversity in this film. Diversity and inclusion. It's ridiculous. Pleasantville, I would say I'm a little disappointed. I was expecting to love it a lot more because I remember loving it as a kid when I would watch this thing for the first time, but nowadays it's solid, it's fine, but it's definitely not up to that top tier level that I was expecting it was gonna be. I'm gonna give Pleasantville 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
So guys, if you've seen Pleasantville, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you'll know the next time I release next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.